Welcome to the Conversation Lab. I'm Don Schaefer. If democracy begins in conversation, then we need to nurture a culture where ordinary people like us routinely talk about those things that help us understand each other, whether it's about climate, race, religion, gender, or politics. When we're trying to make sense of our city and the world we live in, every question comes with a set of assumptions about the nature of ourselves and our place in a larger world. The Conversation Lab provides a safe place to talk about some of those things. This program is produced by CFRO-FM in Vancouver. It's available on air and online on various platforms, and we appreciate the help of Vancouver's community groups. Welcome to another edition of the Conversation Lab. My name is Don Schaefer, and today we're speaking with Gregory Ould, who is the co-founder and executive director of Blanket BC. This is the fun part of Zoom, trying to get everything working.
Good morning.
It's nice to see you. It's been a few years.
It's been a long time. You know what's funny is I looked you up. That's right. I Googled you. And in that Google, the Google verse, as I like to call it, I found, and I don't know if you know this, but you are a Canadian radio legend / icon.
Yeah, I don't know about icon, but I think it's longevity.
Well, that's what it's all about, right?
I think so. You get to do what you do. So no, it's been fun. I've had a great ride.
What I found interesting was it literally and physically took you all over.
My first job in Canada was in Montreal.
Yes.
I was really fortunate to work with some wonderful people and work my way across the country and discovered that I love British Columbia. I'm very lucky to be able to do this work and kind of fine tune it into the direction that I've been doing it in. I'm still here. It's been a couple of years since we talked, maybe 3 now. Can you catch us up on Blanket BC as well as, anything else you want to share?
Sure. Well, a lot has happened over the past few years, mainly in the past just year. We could start of the pandemic back in March when everything got really shut down. Blanket BC was shut down as well, and Blanket BC, and let's go back to the beginning, is a nonprofit organization that goes around collecting and distributing blankets and warm clothing for shelter programs and families in need, as well as First Nations communities. We raise awareness to homelessness, poverty, and socioeconomic issues while promoting volunteerism at a really young age. You see, back in 2005, I was coming out of a movie theater on a cold October night, and I saw this man in an alcove, and our eyes met, and instead of just ignoring him, moving on, I stopped, and I asked him, "Sir, is there anything I can do to help you?" I was expecting him to say, "Well, maybe you can give me some money or a cigarette, coffee, some food." He simply said I could use a blanket to survive the night. And that blew me away. I almost immediately went around the corner, and the old Army and Navy, which is no longer there, was just closing. And I banged on the door as a lady was like putting up the chain. And I think she saw my eyes almost welling up like, I need to be there. So she unchained it, opened the door. She goes, "Can I help you?" I says, "Yes, I need a blanket as warm as you can give me. I need a blanket for someone." So I got that blanket, came back, and the gentleman was still there. And as I approached, our eyes met again. And it was a look of, I don't know how to describe it. It was almost as if he was listened to for the first time in a very long time. And someone actually took action upon his request. When I gave him the blanket, I don't remember a thank you or another conversation. I just remember his eyes. And it made me feel good. That one random act of kindness. I went home. My son, Ben, was 22 months old at the time. And it was late, but he was up. And anytime, the kids are up, it's a good time to, play with them a little bit because time is short. So there I'm playing with my son, 11 o'clock at night. And I kept thinking about what happened earlier in the night. So I said to Ben, hey, Ben, I told him the story. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if you and I went around and just handed out blankets to people who are in need? And kind of like Batman and Robin, but instead of fighting crime, we're fighting loneliness, homelessness, and providing warmth from our heart. And he stopped what he was doing. He turned to me with these big, fat, chubby cheeks and the bluest eyes you'll ever see in a kid. And he smiled. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, all right. Now, at first I was thinking, wow, this kid's smart. He really picks up on this, no problem. I think he was thinking Batman or Robin. I would have been Batman, by the way. But we started collecting blankets. And that year in wintertime, we did about 67 blankets. And now, 15 years later, we're nearly 500,000 blankets to date. Snowballed incredibly with the community support from sponsors and partnerships that we've created and friendships we've created with organizations. It's really, really helped us. Then the pandemic hit, completely shut us down. The previous board felt it was unsafe, and I agreed. But there were a lot of other things going on behind the scenes that we weren't happy with. We weren't going in the right direction we wanted to go to. And it was time for a change. It was time to go back to how it all began and why it began and the importance of that. I think I was losing touch with that. And I've got a new team and a new release on vision and leadership. And over the past couple of months have actually been amazing for Blanket BC, to the point where it's not we're in the hole right now, money-wise. We're actually trying to rebuild. But the community support and support from business leaders, sharks, or as I like to call them, advisory angels, they've come to our aid and they're mentoring us to the point where only success will be accepted. And success not only as an organization, but success as in how many people we can reach. And I can't tell you, Don, that I am elated. I've only had like 3 hours sleep, but I'm awake, I'm energized, and I can't wait for my next couple of meetings. And then later on in the day, a good 6 hours of just delivering warmth to folks. And it's amazing.
I have a dozen questions I want to ask, but I want to just go back and talk about Ben for a minute, because I saw an article that in 2013 he was mentioned in the House of Commons, which was very cool. What a nice compliment to you and to him and to the origins of the organization.
That was a special time. I can't remember the MP's name. Randy Camp. He was our MP at the time. He's now retired. He was so blown away with Ben and his energy, and also the fact he was so humble and quiet, quite opposite to me. We're quite opposite in so many ways, but the similarities are, I think, work ethic, empathy, and understanding. Randy saw that in Ben, and it was just like, wow. When we told him the story, he had mentioned that Ben must be the youngest founder of a nonprofit in Canadian history. And that just blew us away, because the Prime Minister at the time was there. He's actually been mentioned twice, apparently. And we were also honored at the legislature in Victoria about 4 years ago, and spoken to or about by both sides of the aisle, which was very rare. We, like Mark Dalton with Liberals and Selena Robinson with the NDP, both stood up at different times to acknowledge Blanket BC and our and what we've done for the community. So those are I mean, huge kudos and huge, wonderful memories. But it really all has to do with the people that have donated. We wouldn't be able to do this if people didn't donate.
Yeah.
We're the glorified delivery drivers, but we're delivering your hope, we're delivering your love, your compassion, and your warmth. And that's what makes Blanket BC very special. And I really hope that we can, we will expand, and we will get bigger and stronger and smarter and be able to provide more warmth all across BC and hopefully across Canada one day.
This is the Conversation Lab, and we're speaking with Gregory Ould. I'm really glad you spent some time talking about the origins and where the organization started. I'm struck by a couple of things. First of all, where we are in this pandemic. And I remember watching an article or seeing an article from the Globe and Mail at the beginning of the pandemic that said it's likely that 30 to 50% of the not-for-profits in Canada will likely close their doors based on the pandemic and the impact that it's had on fundraising and limiting the activities that they can do. And I'm struck by your comment about we had to shut down for 8 months and stop doing what we did. Also, I'm struck by the comment about re-engineering or revisioning Blanket BC and the organization. And I don't think that's uncommon for any organization to reach a point where you go, what's next? How do we reinvent ourselves? What's our purpose? So it's interesting that you've kind of taken a back to basics approach to rebuild the organization. So where do you go from here? What do you think? What's the vision?
The vision's expansion. But you can't do that without monetary funding, right? Every year we host North America's largest blanket drive. I can't find another blanket drive anywhere in North America bigger than this. It's called Blanket BC's Drive on the Line. And it takes place on the Canada line between Richmond, at 8 different stations between Richmond and Vancouver. We have up to 200 blankets that help us out. That's our version of volunteers, by the way. We also have Warmth Warriors, which are the little kids. And that moniker was given to us by the legendary Stan Lee himself, who also was very impressed with Ben. Maybe not so much me, but definitely Ben. And through this drive, we collect between 5,000 and 8,000 articles of blankets and clothing and monetary funding, which is the only funding we get throughout the whole year, unless an organization or company or individual decides to donate. But it's not usually that much. But we have to budget basically the entire year off of that 2-day blanket drive. So it's about $8,500 at most. I don't know what the little toggle, the shoestring is, the little plastic part. Most people say they have a shoestring budget. That's our budget. And I think this is why we're going to survive this pandemic, because we've been very good at not spending or wasting money. When people give us money, 100% of it goes towards Blanket BC. And what I mean by that is it goes towards people want to give us $500 and say, we want you to only buy blankets. Okay. 100% of that money is going to buy blankets. And usually we get discounts, at certain stores because of who we are. So that money almost can double in value. Or the money will go to daily operations, fuel, insurance, which is bloody expensive. Really, that's it. Locker space. We have partnered with a few great mini storage lockers. U-Lock Mini Storage has come to our aid over the past couple of years, and they have been absolutely phenomenal. They have been one of our best partners we've ever had. And U-Lock now are accepting blankets. And because of us having to postpone the Drive in the Line this year, A, we're now like, well, how do we make money? And B, how are we going to collect our blankets, like that mass amount of blankets that we want to be able to give during the winter months. So U-Lock stepped up again and said, hey, we're going to put a donation bin at every U-Lock mini storage and right in our lobby. So every single day, 7 days a week, up till 5 p.m., between 9 and 5, you can drop off blankets and we will put it in storage, and then you come pick it up and bada bing, bada boom.